let's talk about some of the advanced stuff here. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about keystrokes. What are keystrokes? Keystrokes are, as the name suggests, strokes are depressions of the keyboard keys which allow you to input information through the hardware into the software. Being efficient with your keystrokes allow you to complete a single task, whether it be the deletion of a single word or a single line, to an instance rather than a few seconds. Efficiency is the ability to achieve maximum productivity with minimum effort and time and resource. In this scenario, the wasted effort or resources is deemed as your time and the keyboards employed. So coming back to that, let me demonstrate. So the word augmetics. So 8-lettered word, correct? So if I had to delete this, look down at the key down there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 8 times you have to press certain keys until it is gone. Or you can do this, you can hold this until it's gone. But what's gonna be a problem? Let's assume I have this word like 100 times. Again and again and again and again. And you wanna delete a lot of them at the same time. How are you going to do that? It's going to take you some time. You have to pause and you have to stop at the correct time to make sure that you did just the right portion, and you will always have to make adjustments after that. Instead, just to save you time, you can do this instead. Control backspace. 2 keystrokes versus 8 keystrokes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Does that make sense? Moving on. Okay, so it took me 2 keystrokes to delete this, and I was almost able to do it in an instant. What I want you to understand is that when you're being more efficient, you are saving more time and you're able to proceed onwards with a lot of things that you would otherwise not be able to do. You could finish your work 3 hours before anyone else is done. If you're getting really, really good, if you're just starting off, you could be saving an hour every single day. You add that up, you're saving 5 hours a week. That is increasing your quality of life, something that we value a lot at Augmetics. If you're not happy at work, then you're not happy at home, then you're not happy at work, which means that your productivity is going down. Your doctor not being happy, your patients are not happy, and you could potentially be documenting something that is incorrect because you're not motivated. That is something that you have to remember, that I am working better, I am working smarter so that I can move on faster and I can go home faster and enjoy my life. Prior to the presentation, you were given an email on the keyboard shortcuts, and I hope you were able to read through them at least once. Here they are in application. So I have a sample a sample sentence here that you can kind of look into and have an idea about. So we have Control Y, that's redo, but we also have Control Z, which does what? It does undo. So it's very straightforward. Your last piece of documentation is undone due to the application of these specific keys. So this is the last thing that I wrote down, right? So Control Z does this, changes it back. Control Y redos. It does the opposite of Z. But I highly recommend that you do not use it because it often malfunctions in a lot of platforms and you will be making a lot of mistakes potentially. These tiny mistakes might be causing you to feel extremely frustrated when your job is already very frustrating to begin with. You're standing as a scribe of potentially a perfectionist. Doctors normally are with godlike complexes that you have to kind of navigate through and establish a good rapport with them. You do not want more frustration on your plate. Control C, copy, Control V, paste. Very simple. I'm pretty sure everyone has been using this on a daily basis. Saves you a lot of time instead of copying this down, selecting this with your mouse, and then pressing right key, and then potentially copying it. You can just use Control C. Saves you so much time. Control V, cut. So where does efficiency come in with Control X? It comes in like this. Let's assume I have this specific sentence, and I want to copy it over here. So and I want to delete it up here. So it's just taking me more time, right? So what am I doing? So I'm using Shift and copy, bring it down here, and then Control V, right? More keystroke. What I could have been doing instead is that I could have been using Control X, bring it down here, and then just pasting it. Saves you more time. Remember, if you ever cut anything by mistake, there is no need to panic. Just use Control Z. The time between this interaction is known as brain lag. The lesser brain lag you have between actions, the better. Our ability to pick ourselves up faster from the dirt is what makes us more efficient. This will undoubtedly improve over time. So, these are the navigation shortcuts. Very simple, very self-explanatory. Arrow keys lets you kind of navigate between the letters. Control arrow key lets you navigate between the words. Takes you much less time to be navigating through things, and you can get to places much faster. Control arrow key and shift that lets you kind of navigate faster between each word, and you get to select them as well. I especially use this technique to kind of go over words and sentences to figure out whether there are any spelling errors there. So let's assume I wrote the word patent instead of patient. If I'm just going through them like this, I'll probably not spot the error. But if I'm highlighting them and it hits my eyes in a different fashion, you will notice that it's much easier for you to find out whether there's an error here or not. So let's go for the next one. So we have delete. What most people do not realize is that while, yes, backspace, correct, for deletes things like this, delete also works in somewhat the similar fashion. But instead of deleting, let's say I'm here, I can delete A with backspace, but I can delete T with delete. So delete allows you to delete the letter in front of the cursor instead of backspace, which does the opposite. It gives you the ability to delete the letter prior to the cursor. Using control and delete allows you to delete the entire word right in front of the cursor. So patient, control delete the word patient. If the cursor was over here, control backspace, delete the word patient. This will get better with time. Don't stress it at this time because you're going to be very confused about using delete or backspace. Primarily focus on using control backspace and just master that. You can get to delete later. So let's talk about home. This allows you to get to the start of the sentence, start of the line, sorry, my bad. It takes you to the start of the line and not the sentence specifically. See, this is one sentence, but this is one line. If I'm over here and I press home, it takes me all the way here. If I'm here and I press home, it doesn't take me all the way here, although this is the entire sentence. It will never take you to the start of the sentence. Let's just remember that and let's not confuse that, okay? End does basically the same thing. End takes you to the end of the line, not the sentence. If I'm using shift end, it allows me to select this specific part. If my cursor is right here, so if I press shift home, it takes me to this. If I'm using shift end, it takes me to this. This is especially helpful when you're trying to delete certain things and you're like, I just don't need them anymore. So just delete this. Let's assume I just need one animal physical. I can just delete the rest, right? Saves me more time. Let's talk about the menu key specifically. So menu key is, look at the keys down here. It's this one, right next to the Windows key on the right. This helps you tremendously. Let's assume you have the word patient, but you have the patient written incorrectly. This will give the specific red underlining, and you can always use this. Look at this again. The menu key and the correct one will pop up most of the time. Okay? Use this whenever possible instead of finding out where the exact spelling error is and fixing it like that. You can potentially rely on this and get things done a little faster. Navigation of Chrome. So Google Chrome is the browser that Augmedix prefers and uses because it is significantly faster and it kind of calibrates with the NoteWriter that we have, and there are no issues in general, unlike the other ones. So Control Page Up allows you to shift to the prior tab. So I'm going to cancel my email here, of course, and let's assume that there are multiple tabs open here. So if I was here, Control Shift Tab allows me to go back. Control Tab takes me forward. So let's try this again. Control Page Up takes me to the back. Control Page Down takes me to the front. So I personally prefer using this rather than this because you can do it with just the 3 fingers on your left hand instead of me using both my hands. See, Control with my left and Page Up with my right to navigate. I can just be using my left one. It just saves me a lot more time. I would prefer that you guys try the same method, and you'll see that it's significantly easier for you to be using just your left hand to be guiding through things rather than using both your hands. You could be potentially using your right hand to be navigating using the mouse or clicking on things. Remember, you will have to be multitasking when you are scribing, so you might potentially have to be looking into things on the left screen while looking into the HR on the right screen. So we have Control 1, 2, 3. Unless you're a methodical person, it is very difficult for you to be using this efficiently. Methodical in the sense that let's assume that I have, for the first tab, I always have my email turned on. For the second one, I have the NoteWriter. For the third, I have something else. For the fourth, I have Google. If I know for a fact that that order will never change, you can definitely use Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, etc. But if you're not methodical and you're constantly opening up tabs here and there, and you're just a little messy, it's just preferable not to, because you will get accustomed to that. And the next day, when your order is a little different, you will be messing things up. Remember, scribing is a stressful job. You are under a lot of pressure. But there is no use for you to be adding in unnecessary pressure in these specific places. Okay, so Control T allows you to open up a new tab. Just a few seconds ago, you saw me open all of these tabs up, right? Took me what, less than a second? Instead, what I could have been doing is I could have been going up here, clicking this. Takes me a little more time, right? So think about how many times you have to open up and Google something every single day. Goes into the hundreds, 200s. Now translate that in 2 seconds. So I'm basically saving you 200 to 300 seconds just by using Control T instead of clicking up here and then getting two things. I navigate using the mouse a little faster in general, but if it takes you longer using the mouse, imagine how much time you'll be saving if you're using Control T instead of using the mouse. Control W closes the current tab. So if I'm over here, Control W deletes this instantly. So Control L navigates you to the search bar. This is the search bar specifically, and it is helpful from time to time, but not always, because in other browsers, you never know where you're going to end up if you're Googling things right here, because it doesn't directly take you to Google, but as it is Google Chrome, anything you search here goes directly into Google. In Yahoo, in Firefox, that is not the case. Unless you specifically write in the website over here, let's assume www.facebook.com, nothing will appear. The importance of momentum. What is momentum? Very few people understand, and even fewer are able to appreciate the large factor of momentum that goes into any kind of fashion. Instead of taking the easier route with macros, where you write he wr, which becomes he reports, you can write he reports instead. This allows you to get this momentum, this small win, something that human beings very much require. We need instant satisfaction. When you're able to write the word he reports in just a flash of a second, that will tell your brain that, you know what, I can take on more. After that, writing something else is extremely easy. So instead of writing HR shortness of breath, you can write he reports shortness of breath, and you will make lesser mistakes. It is just simple as that. If you're having momentum and you know that you got a small win, that you're getting words correctly rather than relying on macros, you will be getting through certain things faster. However, let's assume the word physical therapy takes more time, right? But if you have a macro for PT and it becomes physical therapy, that is perfectly fine. But for smaller words like he, she, report, there, here, for, things like that, don't take the easy way out. Write it down letter by letter, and it'll give you a boost in your confidence, and that will increase your speed on the upcoming words.